And
Go ahead, Chuck.
yeah. Anyway, the reason that we can't bring home any more fish than we are is because the government can't get their information accurate as to how many fish is actually out there. And even when they do get partial information, it's 3 years behind before it ever gets
Really?
around to when they...
Look like things should be a little quicker to react to the issue.
That's the reason we haven't been able to bring home a red snapper until June the 1st, even though there's so many red snapper out there in the Gulf. We can't get a bait down through the red snapper to even catch a grouper. Because and so I told the boys, I said, well, just use a bigger bait, you know, and then the red snapper can't bite it because they got a smaller mouth than a grouper, and you can go down through. Well, all that happened, we caught bigger red snapper, you see. So that's the reason that we were in Washington 3 weeks ago, just to try to bring a little bit of attention to the thousands of people along the Atlantic coast and the Pacific coast, and particularly the Gulf of Mexico, that are depending on tourists and fishing to make a living.
Right. Just interesting, I was visiting with a captain over in Apalachicola here a couple weeks ago. He said he normally would do like 160 charters a year. And the last year he only done like 60. Some of that has to, and he was in there tending bar at a place probably, you know, pick up some income to take care of that loss of charters that he had.
5 years ago, this boat did 222 trips in the year. Last year, this boat did 89 trips.
Really? Well,
period.
that's not the same kind
And this year is probably not going to be that many.
Really?
Now, this boat over here, this year, probably won't do 50 trips. Whereas 5 years ago, that boat would do 170 to 190 trips in the year, because that many people just like to go out, and they don't want to catch all the fish there is in the ocean. They just like to go out and have a day of fun, bring home a good mess of fish, and we, the fishermen that run these boats here, are more conservative on our fish out there than anybody else there is, because it's our living today, it's our living tomorrow, next year, and so forth. And I have 5 people that depend on me to make a living just on these 2 boats.
And then, of course, I'm from South Dakota for the records here, so this is a whole different business that I'm used to. But when you go up down this marina, I'm sure there are other people relying on the fishing industry to make $1 or 2, as we say back in South Dakota.
Well, the government is paying NOAA and National Marine Fisheries so many people that they could actually take that money if they wanted to and buy 3/4 of all of us fishermen out, and we could retire. You see, but instead, all of these people, I guess, needed a job because they're giving them a job now. Number one, they give them a job to collect information, but they don't have a system to collect valid information.
And up to date, it sounds like.
And up to date information. And by the time they do collect it, and then it gets in the computer and analyzed, 3 years later, we may get some change. And then in 2007, the environmentalists got the Congress to put a bill through on the Magnuson-Stevens Act that really shut most of us down. And our effort right now is just to get a little relief from the act. The bill was primarily that they had to get the fishing out there so there'd be plenty of fish within 1 year or 210. You see, rather than, it's like king mackerel. They did this on king mackerel 20 years ago, but they gave it plenty of time. They didn't have to cure it in 1, 2, or 3 years. King mackerel's great today, plenty of them. You see, well, they could do the same thing for red snapper and grouper with it. But it just, I can't understand how the government is talking about jobs, and yet they're putting so many thousands of us out of work. And they're putting us out of work based on invalid information that they are trying to collect. Any of us, and most of us, have been to meetings to try to tell the government the best way to collect information. Try to tell the government what's out there and what's not. They didn't listen. And if they did, we didn't know it, but they didn't pay any attention.
You know, for us being on our vacation, you know, in Panama City and the beach and whatever, and here and Apalachicola and St. Joe, I mean, there's a lot of boats like this sitting on the water, isn't there?
Oh yeah,
Waiting,
absolutely.
waiting to do something.
Now tell me, you're from South Dakota and you're down here as a tour, and you went fishing the other day,
I did, yes.
and you left money here.
Right.
In other words, we can live off it, and if we had about 10,000 of you each year, we'd make a living if they'd let us bring you home a fish. But are you going to pay me the kind of money you had to pay me and not be able to bring home a fish?
I mean, we did it, because my son has never done this kind of a trip, so we did it knowingly that it was a catch and release thing. So that was a big deal for us.
So you did it one time. But
One time on that basis. I'll probably want to bring home a fish the next time.
Next time you want to. See, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, no, that's right. So